So, you're thinking about quitting your job. I'm guessing that's why you clicked on this video. Truth is, before I quit my 9 to 5, I had my resignation letter saved on my laptop for an entire year. A whole year. I wish I could tell you I was bold enough to hit send the moment I wrote it, but I wasn't. It took a lot of overthinking, late night pep talks in front of my bathroom mirror, and serious self-convincing. But eventually, I did it. And today I'm sharing the 10 things that finally pushed me to take the leap. If you're on the fence about quitting too, these are the lessons you need to hear. Let's get into it. You know, there's a book I read called 2-Minute Pep Talks, and one part in there just completely changed the way I think about time. It said, would you rather have $1 billion or 1 billion seconds? And then he explained that 1 billion seconds is about 31 years. So imagine someone offering you $1 billion in exchange for 31 years of your life. Would you take it? It hit me so hard, especially being in my 20s, because he said, if you're in your 20s, you're a time billionaire. You likely have more than 2 billion seconds left. That's wild when you really think about it. Then he flipped it and asked, how much do you think someone like Warren Buffett, who's 94 years old and already a billionaire, would pay to get even some of those seconds back? Probably more than $1 billion. And that's when it clicked for me. Time is the real currency. We always chase money like it's the most valuable thing in the world, but it's not. You can earn money back. You can't earn time back. So if you're stuck in a job that drains you, or you keep putting off your goals thinking you'll do it later, just remember, you're spending your most priceless asset, and no paycheck, no promotion, no amount of savings is worth trading away your life for something you don't love. This was a big mindset shift for me. You know, for the longest time, I felt guilty for wanting more. I had a stable job, amazing coworkers, and a steady paycheck. So many people would have killed for that. And believe me, I was grateful. But deep down, I knew I didn't want to stay there forever. And that's the thing. Gratitude doesn't mean you have to settle. You can appreciate your job and still know it's not where you're meant to be long term. You can be thankful for what it taught you and still crave for something that lights you up more. Wanting to grow doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you human. Eventually, I realized that staying in a job just because it's good enough is kind of like keeping a pair of shoes that don't fit just because they were expensive. It doesn't make sense. Remember, you're allowed to outgrow things, even good things. You're allowed to outgrow the life you once prayed for, and leaving doesn't mean you're ungrateful. I used to think I had to be the most talented, the most experienced, the most qualified before I could really make money doing my own thing. Like there was some kind of invisible checklist I had to complete first. But the truth, some of the people making the most money online or in business aren't the best at what they do. They're just the ones who showed up, solved a problem, and put themselves out there. Let that sink in. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be a few steps ahead of the person you're helping and have the confidence to say, hey, I've been where you are, and here's what worked for me. Look, there's always going to be someone more experienced than you. But that doesn't mean there's no space for you. People buy from people they connect with, not just the best in the industry. So stop waiting to be the best at whatever industry you want to be in. There is someone out there less qualified than you, making more money than you, all because they started. Why not you? You can give everything to a job. Your time, your energy, your weekends, your peace of mind. But if something happened to you tomorrow, they'd post your position by next week, maybe even sooner. And I don't say that to sound harsh. I say it because it's the truth. At work, you're replaceable. And that's not a bad thing. It's just how companies operate. It's business, not personal. But here's what is personal. Your health, your dreams, your time with the people you love. Those things, they're not replaceable. And we spend so much of our lives giving the best part of ourselves to a job that would keep moving without us. So now I remind myself, I'm not living to work. I'm working to live. And if something's going to take up the majority of my life, it better be something that actually means something to me. This one comes from Steve Jobs, and honestly, it shifted how I look at everything. He said something along the lines of, when you live each day as if it were your last, one day you'll be right. And that sounds dramatic, I know, but when you really let it sink in, it's powerful. When I started asking myself, if I knew I was going to die soon, would I still be doing this? It changed how I made decisions, whether it was staying in a job that didn't fulfill me, saying yes to things out of guilt, or putting my dreams on hold. I started to realize how much time I was spending on things that didn't actually matter to me. Most of us act like we have unlimited time, but we don't. And when you look at your life through the lens of this could all end tomorrow, your priorities shift fast. Suddenly, fear doesn't feel as big, regret feels heavier, and choosing yourself starts to make a whole lot more sense. So now when I'm unsure about something, I ask myself, would this still matter to me if I only had a little time left? If not, I let it go. And that's been one of the most freeing mindsets I've ever adopted. One of the most eye-opening lessons I learned before quitting my 9-to-5 came from the book The Psychology of Money. It said, being wealthy isn't really about how much you earn. It's about how you manage, think about, and respect money over time. Because for the longest time, I thought, if I just earned more, then I'd feel secure enough to leave my job. But the truth is, I was already earning a decent income. What was holding me back wasn't my paycheck. It was my mindset. I had to learn how to be intentional with my money, how to save, budget, build a cushion, and most importantly, detach from the belief that more income automatically equals more freedom. What gave me the courage to quit wasn't a higher salary. It was realizing that I could live well, invest in myself, and build something sustainable even without a 9-to-5. Because I understood how to handle money, not just make it. That shift in mindset is what gave me the green light to finally walk away. One of the biggest fears I had about quitting my 9-to-5 was, what if it all goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I run out of money? But here's the thing I didn't fully realize until after I quit. Your survival instincts kick in fast when you don't have a fallback. When you know it's just you, your goals, and your rent due at the end of the month, you figure things out. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop procrastinating. You get scrappy. You get creative. You move. I underestimated how resourceful I could be when I was truly on my own. It's like a switch flips. Suddenly, you're pitching yourself more, you're selling harder, you're creating more consistently, and doing things you were too scared to do before. That survival instinct, it's powerful. Because once you realize you can figure things out even under pressure, you stop fearing failure so much. That belief in myself didn't exist when I had the security of my job, but it grew the moment I stepped away from it. When I was preparing to quit my 9-to-5, I often felt like the odd one out. Most people around me were focused on climbing the corporate ladder, getting promotions, staying safe. Meanwhile, I was over here trying to build a digital product business from home and dreaming about time freedom. It was hard not to second guess myself, but I had to learn that just because I was doing something different didn't mean I was doing something wrong. Being the odd one out just meant I had a different vision for my life, and that's okay. So if you feel like you don't fit in where you are, maybe you're not behind. Maybe you're just meant to build something they can't see yet. And that's exactly what helped me going and finally quit. Because I realized I'd rather feel like the odd one out than live a life that never felt like mine. This was something I had to remind myself a lot when I was stuck in fear about quitting my job. As long as I'm alive, I have options. Because when you're in a safe, stable 9-to-5, the idea of walking away feels like jumping off a cliff. Your mind immediately goes to worst-case scenarios. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I can't go back? But here's what helped me breathe. Nothing is really the end until it is, aka death. If the business didn't work out, I could learn from it and try again. If money got tight, I could freelance, pivot, even go back to a job if I had to. There were always more options than I gave myself credit for. So quitting doesn't mean I was locked into one irreversible path. It just meant I was giving myself permission to try, to trust that I could figure it out and that if I ever hit a wall, I could still take another route. So if fear is telling you that quitting your job is the end of your stability or your safety net, just know this. As long as you're breathing, you're not stuck. You're not out of chances. You still have so many moves left to make. I used to believe that the only way to succeed was by working really hard, like physically, mentally, and emotionally hard. I thought the more exhausted I was, the more I was earning my money. And that mindset came from my first job. Standing on my feet for 8+ hours at McDonald's, I go home dead tired, barely making enough, and I just assumed that was the only path to success. Grind now, rest later. But the truth is, working hard doesn't always mean you'll succeed. Some of the hardest working people I know are underpaid and overworked. And on the flip side, I started to see people making money online through content creation, digital products, passive income, and they weren't working less. They were just working differently. That realization changed everything for me. I stopped tying my worth to how tired I was. And that shift in perspective is what slowly gave me the courage to leave my 9-to-5. Because I realized, maybe I don't need to burn myself out just to feel like I've earned my paycheck. There are other ways, and I just had to find them. If you've made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you for being here. I know quitting a 9-to-5 isn't a light decision and maybe you're not quite ready yet, but I hope these lessons gave you something to think about. If this video helped you, let me know in the comments or share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're on your own journey out of the 9-to-5, I am cheering you on. Don't forget to subscribe, it really helps me out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!